Greetings, this is Charles Darwin. Just before my death in 1882, I carried out some experiments with worms, and I published a book about it that same year. And in this book, the purpose was to attempt to find the ecological and evolutionary consequences of the slow transitions in the environment caused by the action of worms. Part of the study was an investigation into the behavior of worms. I'm going to repeat some of this now so that you can see it. Okay, I'm going to read from the book that I wrote about some of the experiments that I did. First, I want to show you the worms, just so that you know that they are, in fact, moving. And you can see that they are, in fact, alive. I'm not going to try any dead worms on you. Okay. Now, the first thing that I wrote was that worms do not possess any sense of hearing. Okay, that is, waves of sound that come through the air. They took not the least notice of the shrill notes from a metal whistle. No, they didn't seem to do anything. The cats noticed. Okay. Nor did they take any notice of the deepest and loudest tones of a bassoon. I can't do that for you. My son George did that. He has the bassoon, and he's not here. They were indifferent to shouts. Hello! They seem to be behaving about the same. Okay. Now, here's the difference. Although they are indifferent to the undulations in the air audible to us, they are extremely sensitive to vibrations in any solid object. So if the sound waves go through the piano and into the container instead of through the air. That's what I found in 1882. So let me try it again here. When the worms were placed on the piano, and the note of C in the bass clef was struck, then they tried to climb back in their burrows. They don't seem to be doing anything different. I also tried the G above the line in the treble clef. They don't appear to be doing anything. Well, it has often been said that if the ground is beaten or otherwise made to tremble, worms believe that they are being pursued by a mole and leave their burrow. So it would make sense from the viewpoint of natural selection that worms would in fact respond to vibrations in the soil, even if they do not respond to sound coming through the air. But that doesn't appear to be happening at this point. These worms are moving, they're very much alive. I'm going to use some technology that was not available in 1882. For instance, I'm going to try different timbres of sound. I'm going to try different kinds of chords. Let's start with the different kinds of chords. First, a C major chord. Now, the major chord is based upon the overtone series. The notes blend very well together and produces a soothing sound, so they should not respond very much to this. Okay, and I'm going to now try C minor, which does not quite fit in as well with the overtone series, and so it creates a sense of discomfort to many people. Well, they're not responding to that either. I have one more thing to try, and that is a diminished chord. And the diminished chord gives a sense of foreboding to human listeners. They still don't seem to be doing anything. Well, this isn't working out very well. Let me try one other thing. Timbre. I'm going to now use the sound of the flute. Oops. There we go. No, they don't seem to be responding to that either. Well, what conclusion can I draw from this? The fact that the experiment didn't go the same way as it did in 1882. There's an important consideration in experimental design, and that is the effect of the experiment itself. These worms have been taken from the soil and put into a white pot. They're traumatized worms. They're not in their natural environment. Perhaps they're not going to behave in the way that they would in their natural environment. In order to see how the worms really would respond to sound, you have to actually watch them down in the soil. But that's not what I did in 1882, that's not what I'm doing right now, and that is perhaps the reason that the worms are not responding. But that's an important thing to consider when you design an experiment, the effect of the experimenter and bias of the observer upon the results. This is Charles Darwin. Tally ho, and amen.